Highly successful individuals are always focused on what's next, but they often don't take time to reflect on their journey and how far they've come. I'm Craig Heatherly, host of the Path Less Travel podcast, where we dive into the journeys of extraordinary leaders. Their success rarely follows a straight path, and that's what makes their story so remarkable. Now let's dive into this week's episode after a brief message from our sponsors. Looking for top talent in tech or professional fields? Avero Talent connects businesses with exceptional candidates specializing in tailored recruiting solutions that match the right skills to your team's needs. Whether you're building a team or searching for a tough-to-fill position, Avero Talent delivers the expertise you need to hire smarter, faster, and with confidence. Let us help you find your next star employee.
At Cressy Leadership, we don't just train leaders, we transform business and change lives. Employees learn to communicate around difficult challenges. Leaders build skills that create a thriving culture. Companies become healthier and more successful. We're Erin Cressy, Mickey Hay, and Anna McEachran, your expert partners, trainers, and coaches. Join the organizations already thriving with Cressy Leadership.
Welcome to the Path Less Travel podcast. This week, we've got a special guest with us. We've got Dr. Roger Pecina of Afdent, the founder back in 1977.
Correct.
Joining us on the show. It's an honor to have you here.
I appreciate you asking me.
Excited for our conversation to learn about Afdent, your leadership journey, and how you've built this dental practice into with national recognition. I'm excited for the conversation. But before we do, you guys told me to leave the podcasting equipment at home. You've got it all taken care of, which is really cool. So we're in this really neat space. Tell me about just the vision of this and what I get to experience right now.
Yeah, in this building, which was formerly Barnes & Noble, we have a whole lot of space where we have all of our phone team is all here, all of our insurance departments here, all of our finance departments here. All those functions that work for both locations are all out of this building. So this back room was empty, and Chris and I were having a conversation, and he said, we need to create something back there. We need to have a war room. And I said, I couldn't agree with you more, because you get tired of, meeting at Starbucks or wherever it's going to be, and there's people all around. And then we wanted to create an environment in this particular room where we could bring staff in, have a conversation away from the office, away from patients, where we could dedicate time creating, more of a thinking, creative environment. And that's it's worked out really good so far. We basically finished it 2 months ago. So it's new for us, too.
A big thank you to Senior One Care for sponsoring today's episode. Founded in 2006 by Carl and Kyle Bossing, this family-owned business has provided compassionate in-home care for nearly 2 decades. If my family needed a caregiver, I'd call Kyle. With 6 Indiana locations, they give you the peace of mind while your loved ones receive the care they deserve. Learn more at senioronecare.com. Yeah, this is really nice. Although I do all of my interviews, or most of them, on site at the guest place. I'm taking some notes here. This is
okay.
This is fantastic. You guys have done a nice job. Well, tell us about Afdent. I mean, what was the vision when you first started the business to where it's at today? Because I know it's been quite the journey over the last almost 50 years now.
Yeah, it's getting close. Absolutely. So it started out like, I think, at that time, 1977, graduated dental school, and it was like everybody in dental school always has a dream to have their own business, brick and mortar, something they can hang a sign on, right? Those dreams have gone by the wayside, by the way, for most dentists. That has all deteriorated. But I just said, you know what? This is all I ever wanted to do since I was 5 years old.
Oh, wow.
But I was never obsessed with it. And it was like, okay, well, what are you going to do if you don't get into dental school with a biology degree? I said, I'll teach junior high and be very happy doing it. I was fortunate enough to get accepted to Indiana University dental school, and it was the most humbling experience I ever had in my life. I thought that once you got into dental school, you'd be treated like a peer by the faculty. You know, now you're a professional. They treated us like we didn't even exist, really. I mean, it was very difficult, and I never could understand why that was. I thought, man, you could have done so much more. And then I found out why. I figured it out after I was out for about 3 years. That was, all they wanted to do was toughen me up for what reality was really going to be. So I'm thankful for the education and the way it was presented to me. Started off in an 800 square foot little bungalow house that I remember I wanted to get, I had to put it in a parking lot, but I couldn't afford blacktop. So I had to do a stone parking lot, right? And I was so mad. I said, people are going to hate this stone parking lot. I just know it. This looks cheap, you know. It's just not going to be good. And I had three treatment rooms, one hygienist in the fourth room. And, you know, it was all 70s, you know, farm-style decor and porcelain knobs and all this stuff. I was so proud of it. So proud to go there on a weekend and mow the grass and, you know, and take care of it. And I found out pretty early on that I was pretty good at what I was doing. And I was looking at it and I'm thinking, wow, this is doing okay. You know, it's growing and patients seem to like what I do. I had got a lot of new patients. And it was like, wow, I guess I'm smart. And I thought, well, this is easy. I'm going to open 10 offices. So I bought offices. I bought old offices in different parts of Indiana. And they all failed. Everyone went broke.
Oh, this is a true story.
So I figured out that the reason they went broke is the success was on me. And the other doctors, they didn't see the same path or see the same thing I saw. So I could see way back then where dentistry was ultimately going to go. It was going to be owned by big business. Because once big business finds out there's profit in something, they'll find a way to take it over. We were there for about, it was just under my name. And in 1985, we moved to a spot on Grape Road, 5,000 square feet, storefront. And it was like, Pecina's nuts, you know? He's going in this strip mall. What's he thinking? You know, it's not a dental office. And at that time, Grape Road ended at the mall. None of that development, none of that was out there. He's going way out to Grape Road. Right. And so we were there. That's when we changed our name to Affiliated Family Dentists, shortened to Afdent. That's where Afdent came from. That's what that stands for. We were there for 18 years and did well there. It was great. And in 2002, I finally got my dream and built my dental building, whatever you want to call it, right on Douglas. And that was in 2002, so we were there for been there 23 years. We since expanded on Douglas to 2 more buildings over the last 6 years. And about 6 years ago, I acquired the Afdent office in Fort Wayne, and we merged that into the business, and that became one business. A protege of mine had that office, and he retired, and so we ended up getting that back, and the thing it grew, and people say, well, what is it exactly? And I said, we're just a regular dental practice on steroids. That's all we are, because we have 20 doctors, 300 employees, hygienists, assistants, office, business staff, collect whatever, all those things. And we just kept focusing on what the goal was and what the vision was. And so, back then I was working every day. We were open 6 days a week. It wasn't an option, because you're growing a business, you're going to do everything that you can. And I, over a period of time, developed a very, very good, talented team of people who basically drank the Kool-Aid and decided, Dr. Pecina is leading by an example. He's not just telling us to do something while he does something else. He's doing something, and then we see him doing it. So I was teaching by doing. Instead of me sitting down in a meeting like this and telling them, well, I want you to do this, I want you to do that, I say, you listen to me. Listen to what I say to the patients. And so it took off. We've seen an average of 400 new patients a month in each location for the last 10 years, where the average new patients in a typical dental office is 12. So,
Oh my goodness.
I was the first dentist to market in Indiana back in 77. 77 was the year they changed the rules. Professionals could not market before then. So, there was no attorneys marketing, nobody doing anything. And so when they changed the laws, I said, we think we're pretty good, but how do we tell people? Initially, once you get through 10 years, you've got foot soldiers out there everywhere telling people, hey, you need to go see Afdent. They'll take care of you. So yeah, that's kind of what it was. And then we kind of became, an icon or a fixture in the community as far as dentistry goes. Just a lot of great patients and great teamwork.
It's quite the story. It's quite the story. And if I were to look at just the questions that I usually run through, I think I can check the box on a bunch right there. Because I wanted to ask what made this place unique. Mm-hmm. And it's clear that it's you, and it's you at the very beginning, being front and center and actually leading. So the question that I have for you as you look at yourself as a leader, what's helped shape and mold who you are today to be able to be at the point of starting your own practice in 1977 to the success you're seeing year in and year out?
What I tell people is, if you have any goal in life, you should try to be great at something. Something. I don't care what it is. But you should try to be, if you don't have the desire to be great at whatever it is you're doing, you're just going to end up in mediocrity. That desire never left me. At the same time, I was blessed with good hand-eye coordination, good motor skills. I wasn't blessed with the radio voice that I have now, but that was developed over a period of time. But just that said, I want to be at the top. I want to be better than the other person. But not just the other dentists. I want Afdent to be the best business. So early on, I looked at Afdent Dentistry is our widget, but it's the business, and then focusing on the entrepreneurship of the business and the vision of that. And at the same time, that's a 30,000 foot view. And then there's the 1/10 of a millimeter view, which we work on every day.
Right.
So,
right.
It's from way up here to way down here. And as I tell my staff, I said, you just do this. Every interaction you have with a person, any person during the course of the day, make it an Oscar-winning performance. Every interaction. You can't pick and choose. If you want to be great, every interaction will be that. And there are people, and then they find out, if I do that, this is a lot more fun. So dentists love to talk about teeth. I like to talk about people. I like to talk about their experiences that they have. It's not about how many kids they have or where they went to. None of that matters. What matters to me is I am, more than anything else, I'm an educator. Patients pay me for what I know. If I can educate them, that's what I really got. That's what I got in my gun. The procedures are procedures. They're over here. Every dentist thinks they can do a crown. There's nothing special about it, or root canal, or whatever it is. That's technical. That is a given. You are not going to impress your patients by making them believe you can do a better crown than the guy down the street. Because they don't believe it. They're already in your chair. They already think you're good. Right. So you got to talk to them. You have to give something more to them than what most dentists want to give. And that takes effort. But what they don't understand is that when you do that, the reward that comes from that is way greater than anything you'll ever get out of your practice. And that is what has kept me motivated why we have this room, why we're making plans for what we're going to do next month and next year and all those things. Because the vision, if we think we have something better, it would be not unrealistic for me to think, I want as many people to take advantage of that as possible. Well, how do I make that happen? Well, we created a couple 100,000 foot soldiers over a period of time, and they sold the business for us. We kept our name out there. We marketed, just to say, hey, like our emergency care center. Dentists hate emergencies because dentists don't like their schedule screwed up. Oh my God, we're going to take an emergency, or we're going to go out for lunch. Well, we can't do that. Oh, the girls want to go to lunch. Well, what's important? More important, lunch or the patient? You got to make a decision. What are you going to do at the end of the day? Are you going to see the 5 o'clock patient at the walk-in? Or are you going to say, nah, I'm too good for that. Maybe come back later, tomorrow or the next day. So we catered to people. We catered to their schedules, and we catered to their finances. Because the one thing that is truthful about dentistry is about 50% of the population does not get regular dental care. Half the people. About 50% of the patients don't have any type of dental coverage. But dental coverage hasn't changed since I started practice. So in other words, the same benefits that my patients were getting in 77 are the same benefits they're getting today. They could get 4 crowns in 77 for $1,000. Now they can barely get 1. So people say, well, I got to get dental insurance. So what I found out was that There was no shortage of patients that wanted something. What there was a shortage of patients who had money to pay for it. And I've walked into a lot of offices, and you'll see the sign, payment must be made at the end of the appointment. Well, why not slap me in the face when I walk in there? Well, what if I can't do that? Mm-hmm. You're going to turn me away? And that's what happened. Dennis got a big puffy chest. And, if you're not, what I decided was I want to reinvest my money in my patients. So I started my own personal finance company within the business. And that's when I coined the term patient-friendly dentistry.
Wow, yeah.
And it says, I'll tell you what. It said, your treatment's $2,500. Well, I've only got $100. Why would I turn that patient away? So I created my own in-house financing program. I took my money and I loaned it to my patients. Well, as soon as I did that, it was, wow, Dr. Pecina really cares about me. I do. Because he's willing to work with me. And when they leave Afdent, that's what they'll tell somebody. They won't say, I've got this great filling. They'll say, you got to go to Afdent. They worked with me. They helped me get what I wanted. And that was the key. Because from that point forward, it was like the big boom. And over that period of time, we've helped countless people get dentistry they would have not have gotten. Because, and it's not about the underserved. I'm talking about families, husband and wife are both working. They go to church on Sunday, they're saving for college. The $2,000 or $3,000 expenses, that's a heart attack for a lot of cases. So allowing them to get the treatment and provide it in a friendly, safe environment where they felt cared for in all ways. Somebody told me once, once your patient knows that you care more about their money than your money, you will be successful. And that's what works.
Well, I mean, you've got this passion for people, the heart of people, the well-being of people. Two questions come to mind here as I hear you speak. One, why? Because let's face it, you're a successful business leader. You probably could have retired a few years back, but you continue to stay in the practice, you continue to lead, and you continue to teach. So my first question is why do you care so much about the people, but then also the influences of yours along the way? Anybody come to mind that have helped you, guided you along this way of thinking?
Yeah, my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I mean, I had nobody else. That is why I do what I do. I am put here for a reason. And that's what drives me, is to fulfill my role while I'm here on earth, to do the things that He has blessed me and allowed me to do.
Thanks for sharing. You've learned a lot. You've accomplished a lot. As you think about something that you're most proud of along the way, and I'm not going to say the number one thing, but I'm just going to say, one of the things that you're most proud of when you reflect on your journey, what comes to mind?
Well, my 8 wonderful kids and my 17 wonderful grandkids. I mean, it's the first, they all are great people. They love the Lord. They're good communicators. They're loving, they're caring. I mean, that's the legacy. Afdent is not the legacy. That is the legacy. Afdent is the business legacy. But when the 8 children and the 17 grandkids that I have now, what I felt I gave to them, because it was very difficult balancing the business and a growing business and balancing the family and everything all at once. So I gave up a lot. There were things that I missed, But at the same time, everything I tried to do, the things I missed are replaced by love.
The things you missed is replaced by love.
I replaced it with love.
Yeah.
And I think that's why my family is so awesome.
Wow. Well, as you look back on your time, and you've got the next generation, we were talking about just the next generation before we went on air. What advice would you give to a younger you, or that generation right now that's entering the workplace, or that's down at IU Bloomington right now going to dental school?
Yeah, it's very interesting. Well, one of my boys, Dr. Parker Pecina, he's been out of dental school for about 2 years now. So I've watched him walk into this practice and act like he's been here for 20 years. The only time I've ever seen a dentist do that. And I've worked with 50 of them over time. He has those skills to manage, educate, do the things. I said, you weren't, I'm looking at him, I'm going, before he graduated, and I was talking to my wife, I said, he's just going to play golf, because he loves golf. And I thought, he may work a day a week, and he'll show up when he wants. He's walked into that business, and I couldn't be more proud of his accomplishments. My son Mike heads up our marketing and recruiting department. He does an amazing job. My son Ryan is general manager. They've got boyhood friends that are in the practice that I watch grow up.
You're right.
Which is cool. My daughter Allison is in the practice, and my daughter Taylor heads up our phone team. And it's a family business. You look back at that, and I never told the kids, well, you should do this or you should do that. I said, doesn't matter to me. You do what you want to do, right? Follow your own dreams. There's no pressure here. The pressure's being my kid, right? That's more pressure than them figure out what they're going to do. Because even though I give them that freedom, I'm still going to hold them accountable for how well they do in everything. So I really believe that having the family unit, having that in the practice, if I didn't have that, I may have retired. But I love dentistry. I love the patients. It's just, I can still do the work. I can do a really great job. Once I can't do that, I'm out.
Yeah.
But now I just do what I want to do. I work when I want to work, and I do the patients that I want to see. I do basically total mouth reconstruction. That's all I do. I don't do any of the other stuff anymore. Done enough of that. And so I found that at this point in time in my career, really changing people's lives by completely rebuilding their entire mouth, so rewarding. It's absolutely amazing. And to watch the transformation in those people as far as how they look, their smile, their outlook on life, the things that they thought they couldn't achieve anymore. To watch that and hear them give me testimonials, come in here and talk about their treatment for a half an hour or an hour of what we did and how it worked, and we're not scripting anything, and they're just giving us all this great information. And you sit back and you look at that, you go, wow, that's what you do it for, you know? I mean, that's what's important. Success. Everybody should taste success to something. That's another thing I tell them. Find a path to some sort of success, something you accomplish that you feel good about, that makes you feel better about yourself, raises up your self-esteem, makes you have more confidence to, you know, I'll tell you some interesting story. I was so afraid of public speaking, terrified, that I was the first guy to go to dental school that figured out how to not take a public speaking course in college. Never took one in high school, never took one in college, right? The thought of getting up in front of people and talking was like terrifying to me. But once I figured out that if you know something, a lot about something, then talking's easy. Because you're talking from a point of knowledge rather than reciting the Gettysburg Address in front of 40 kids, you know?
Right.
Which we had to do that too in 8th grade. But I would have never seen myself as I see myself now. I think somewhere in the back of my head, I always want to be a game show host. I mean, I was like a big Wink Martindale fan, you know. He just died a month ago. It's like, man, those guys are really, that's the gig right there. You just get up and talk and microphone and look around and, you know. But I'm in the right place at the right time for what I want to do. I'm taking time to bring the people around me and raise them up, get them to another level. The downside of everything is you can't create desire. Money doesn't create desire. Increased wages don't create desire. That's the biggest challenge of today. You talk to a lot of people in business, they all have the same problem. They don't have enough help. Can't get enough good help. Universal. So that's our challenge. The only thing limiting us right now on our growth is that. Mm. If we could solve that problem, we could expand our footprint easily. But you can't water down what you have to expand into something else. And that's what would happen if we did it now.
Yeah, there's a there's a focus of yours clearly of capturing the heart of individuals that you interact with, and that's probably, you know, a focus of your guys is as you recruit and try and bring on talent and just really grow and develop your talent, of just identifying, you know, what's each individual's passion, what their why is, to bring that out into their work.
Right.
I've got one final question for you, and then I'll get your final thoughts. You've been kind to a lot of people. You teach, you educate, you give. What's one of the kindest things somebody's done for you?
Oh my gosh. That is, I never thought about that. I think giving me an opportunity to help them. Trust. When somebody gives me trust, I don't care what form it is. I've been burned lots of times, don't get me wrong. But I'll always go to that well. I'll always go to the trust. I'll always, if somebody is going to trust me with something, I don't care whether it's their whole life or tooth number 18, that means something to me. That tells me that for some reason, wherever it goes, I was put in a position at that time to help somebody accomplish something. That's probably it.
Well, as we wrap up, what final thoughts do you have as it pertains to the business here, leadership? What's on the horizon? This final question is wherever you want to take it, you get the final thoughts.
Yeah, it's a lot of moving parts right now as we try to settle into the next chapter. And right now it's kind of a shotgun deal. We're looking at so many different possibilities. Where we're going to be in a year, in 2 years, 3 years. Are we going to grow? Do we want to grow? Do we need to grow? Do we have too much offer not to grow? That's where I always end up. Taking our model, and I'm not talking about building more Afdents. I'm talking about taking what people need today in dentistry, taking all the good stuff about what I've learned and packaging up in a new box. That's been in the back of my head for many years. We were just never ready. I'm not so sure we're ready now. But that's on the table. Trying to figure out a way to do a better job recruiting and training. How do we identify the people who are hungrier, that really want to learn? Because sometimes you can have somebody that never says anything, and all of a sudden you unleash them, and they become somebody really good, right? But they never showed signs of it because nobody ever unleashed them. How do you know who to take the training wheels off and let them climb the ladder and get to the next level? We're spending a lot of time with these videos that we're making, talking to the staff about what is your opportunity here?
Right.
Right? What's the growth pattern? What do I have to do to go from somebody who just has a high school education to making $50 an hour? It's pretty interesting, right? So the general public, the workforce, is skeptical of dentistry because they think, I have to know so much. We're a school. The sign right over there says Afdent Academy. This is no different. If I get somebody that has desire and they want to take a 4-year program to start in sterilization and then show initiative and move up, we'll put everything we have into those people. Yeah. So fine-tuning how to do that, we're way better growing our own than we are hiring somebody that's burned out in dentistry from another office. Sometimes you get lucky from another office, but most of the times their culture's bad. They come here and they go, what are you guys doing? This is real work. You're seeing how many patients? And I have to do that? And it's like, yep, that's the quality that we expect. And that's what people always say. How do you maintain such a high degree of quality with your staff and the work and the quality of the work when you see as many patients as we do? That's the easy answer. If you know me, you know there's no other way it would work.
There's no other way.
Because it's not about money. It's about perfection, right?
Well, I think all business leaders are trying to identify within the workforce of providing, hey, here are the opportunities within the business and that will help you that will support you on. But it also comes down to how bad do you want it?
About how bad you want it.
So yep. I want to thank you. I want to thank you for doing this podcast. As a Mishawaka guy, I personally want to thank you for who you are, your impact within the community, your impact within the lives of individuals, and just how you lead with your faith. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, that's it for this week's episode of the Path Less Travel podcast with the founder of Afdent, Dr. Roger Pecina. Until next week, have a great day.